The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happening.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I rang up Mendenhall, he said he could make it.
Don't dig this hole. Phil, credit to the guy, always manages to do what he has, but he is a shocking personality. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-event.
No, my life from Rashad Mendenhall.
Right, you go. I'm a tag, Jack! I'm a fucking tag!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the LOC Report, listeners, and my voice will be glad to hear that the co-host is back after one brief hiatus. Well, unfortunately our schedules obviously did not line up, but that's okay because he's back now and he's going to have a doubly good episode.
I am. This is it, exactly that. I'm going to make up for some lost time here because, not only was I gutted not to be able to make last week, which was, it was a bit disappointing, not going to lie.
Yeah, reviewing the first matchups of week one, missed all that. I had to tackle all that, but it's okay.
I know, which was disappointing to say this, but I am back. As it, this should be, apart from maybe one time more between the end of the year, or maybe two more times.
It's fine.
Because I'm hopefully in France in one and Sweden in another.
Well, that's perfectly fine.
Which is already.
And normally I'll be able to find another host. It was just
Indeed.
Unfortunately I was quite busy last time round as well, which
so all you lot, if you got to put yourself on LOC report duty, do you know what an esteemed body this is?
Exactly. You would be so privileged to be part of such noteworthy show decided by yourselves.
Absolutely. That's it. Who would not want to be the mouthpiece of an organ like this?
Exactly. And on that note, we're just going to steamroll right into the league news. Because yes, we have officially overtaken the BBC in reputable reporting now that they are in the pockets of the Tories, but that's for another podcast.
That's it. I'm not sure about that, but
I'll send you some stuff, mate.
So the BBC's been left-leaning for a while. Left-leaning.
Not no more. All the directors have been replaced with Tory. What's her name? Laura. What's her face? She's a Tory mouthpiece as well. Laura
Kay's a Tory mouthpiece.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've heard the BBC being called a Tory mouthpiece. I have to say,
how times have changed.
Indeed. Normally they get bashed for being like a bit liberal, but
that's Channel 4, which is no surprise that now the government's wanting to privatise them, so they don't go as left-leaning, so they actually have to make money by whoever overlord stipulates they go more right-wing.
Indeed. I mean, as someone who is not left, not right, but just down the middle, that's it. I want a new channel for me. I don't have that right now. That's it.
No, there is not really a centrist.
There is no. I don't know. That's it.
ITV, is that central?
I suppose a bit. ITV News.
Yeah. What do they represent?
I don't watch ITV News.
Who does that? News with adverts. Well, that's Channel 4 as well. But at least they're lefties, so they've got that going.
There you go. If you like liberal media, you know where to go to. If you like so-called the Tory mouthpiece, it's certainly the royal family's mouthpiece. You go to the BBC, and then if you
how many articles have they run on Prince Andrew's legal issues?
Well,
I'm going to hedge my hat on not many.
Not many, I would have thought.
Yeah,
indeed, that's it. But if you're into that, I'm personally not into the royals. So yeah, exactly that. I mean. There you go. This is actually one thing you can say. You can come to this podcast if you don't mind.
We always ramble about something.
If you want to hear, that's it. A reasonably Republican. That's not an American Republican. That's a British Republican.
Yes,
that's it. American football podcast.
There can't be many. We found our niche.
We certainly have. So. I mean, you don't get that. You don't get it anywhere else apart from here. And you also don't get the fact that this gaggle of people that we deal with every single week that we talk about, and if you're from outside of this bubble, then you will know these people better than they know themselves. Because
probably,
I think that some people just they don't look at each other, they don't look at themselves enough and go, they're not self-observant. Because we know what sort of trends that they have. Yeah. And you listeners, if you've listened for some time, we've been rambling on for 10 years. And we know
tendencies. We've got the match for the history.
Exactly. All of that. It's funny how history repeats itself.
Yeah, and we will see some of that.
We certainly will.
In this episode. So.
We certainly will. But because we're starting the league news, I suspect there are some transactions. There are some transactions we're all going to go.
Probably. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for the league news with all that. So no, I'm joking. So.
No, everyone's been hanging on our every word.
Exactly. Yeah, so at the top, if anyone is viewing, I think it's just my iPad saying the one viewer right now. But if you are viewing, please do comment and follow along.
We know you listen afterwards. This is not about live.
I gave you a warning. It's Wednesday evening.
Exactly. Who watches live TV anymore?
Yeah, you can put the League Cup on mute and have this on. Is the noise?
Oh, the League Cup's on. That's it. Can we just go on a little bit of tangent about the League Cup? The League Cup at this particular stage, only people who support clubs who are irrelevant matter about this.
Well,
they really care.
Becky said yesterday, it's like, what's the League Cup? I was like, well, it's a bit like the FA Cup, but not as sought after. She's like, well, what's the point then? There's too many competitions.
That's exactly what they say about the League Cup.
You look at every European league, they don't have two domestic cup competitions. They have their DFB Pokal. They've got, I've forgotten what the French one's called. Actually, they have two, I think.
They used to have. They actually sucked one off.
Oh, okay.
For this very reason.
Does Spain have three as well? They've got the Copa del Rey. Do they have another round?
They used to have one as well, but they also sacked it off.
Okay, so there you go. Yeah.
So yeah, the Coupe de France, the
Italy's
only
got
the Coppa Italia.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want it, it's the Coppa Italia. But no, everyone wants the league in Italy. But no, you're right. There isn't a major league that has two major domestic cups.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's it. At this point, it's it. You see what big teams think about the League Cup when Man City put out a team of under 21s
and still absolutely whack Wickham 6-1.
Absolutely. But Akinfenwa got called a legend.
Yeah,
and I thought that was a very classy touch from my Pep.
Yeah.
So, again, this is the wrong sport for this particular podcast.
It is.
But we are about variety here. So.
Exactly. And we will actually get to the league news now. So.
This isn't the league news. Actually, it should be the League Cup news.
Indeed. Well, we've got a new segment for next week.
There you go.
So that we've only got two transactions I picked out because it was actually quite a quiet week in terms of waivers. So the first one, insert big money Cardinals receiver again for transaction number 1 after Christian Kirk was bought for $31 by Neapolitans last week.
And what did he do last week?
Not a lot. Rondell Moore has now gone for $28, dropped by the Packers D on the detonators. What do you make of that one, Chris?
I mean, I like Rondell Moore. Like he was obviously very involved at the weekend. But again, like we said 2 weeks ago, and what you said last week, that Christian Kirk thing just didn't really work out because they like to spread it around. Outside of Nuke Hopkins, everybody's going to get a good week or a bad week, but no one's going to get a good or a bad week consistently. I think you're paying $28 for somebody there who's going to be a little bit spotty week on week. So yeah, I think that he could be great, but 3 weeks in 17.
There is something distinctly different about Rondell Moore, I think, compared to insert Cardinals receiver behind their top option here. Is that obviously as a rookie he's got that going for him. He's got a dynamic speed element. Quite a lot of the analysts and stuff going about him. But like you say, was anyone else going $28 on Rondell Moore? I don't mind the pickup. I question the money.
We can find that out.
Because you weren't here last week where I obviously had to talk about my own pickup of Elijah Mitchell for $27. Which I thought was not a bad price. Could have been a bit less, but a lot of leagues he was going a lot more.
I can imagine.
You factor that against guys like Christian Kirk and Rondell Moore. Is anyone else spending that amount of money? I don't know. I question the money put down.
That's it. Bear in mind, it's nearly a third of your budget for the year.
And okay, you get the extra, but you can never guarantee. You might not get any if you're
exactly actually particularly good. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it might be a bit of an overbid there. But look, if you're not going to spend your fortune over the course of the year.
Yeah, anything you've got at the end is wasted unless you're Ross's team last year, who finished with more than he started with, I believe.
I don't know why he didn't blow like 105 at the end of the year. Just go, you know what?
Spend it. Make it rain.
That's it, absolutely. There's no point banking it.
Speaking of making it rain, first he was traded for, then he was dropped, but he has now been re-signed. For $5 by UR Gold. Michael Carter's back in his cups. I put in a claim for him. I wasn't spending any money. He did look better, and again, this is why I drafted him. I obviously would take Claypool over him at the start of the season, but I did see a path to him having a role, which he sort of had last week. But again, probably okay to have in your team to drop and then spend $5 to bring back.
Not very good business sense. I'll give you that. Also, the Jets suck.
They do.
They really suck, and I think that they suck slightly less than last year, but they still are a team in very much a transition. The problem is that once they can't stay on the field, as proven last week.
Yes.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Zach Wilson hype train quickly came to a stop.
Oh, yes, absolutely right.
And he's going to end up like every other Jets quarterback.
Indeed.
Maybe he can go to Carolina after his rookie deal's done.
Well, maybe it's it because Sam Darnold looked all right.
He's looking good. Yeah.
He looked better.
But it's almost as if the Jets are the problem.
It's like the Jets have been a problem since they won the Super Bowl, and that's like 54 years ago.
A long time.
So,
Yeah,
it's a long way. There's been a lot of Jets quarterbacks since Broadway Joe.
That has.
And
not many good ones.
And a problem is that every single one of them are living in the shadow.
Yeah.
It's a Broadway-sized shadow.
Yeah.
I would say. And, look, it's too early to say, but especially year one in a team that's absolutely dire. Same really with Trevor Lawrence is that, he's obviously really good, and he's obviously got... but he just isn't a team that is in complete transition. That sucked last year. That sucks now. They got slightly better receivers around him. Their O-line's horrendous.
Yes, especially with Mekhi Becton going.
Right, that's it. So you can't really judge these guys right now.
At least he's got Robert Saleh instead of the flaming tire pile of Urban Meyer.
That's it. Urban's gonna fly. The thing is, though, there's a lot of this season reminds me of like the Chip Kelly season in Philly, and then in San Francisco, which obviously didn't work.
I forgot about that.
Where there was a lot of chat about this, revolutionary system that comes into the NFL, and it just didn't happen. And the same with Urban, really, is that he's come in. Is he really making drastic changes immediately? No. But this is the Jags. Again, this is the two irrelevant franchises right now. Is that the Jets have been irrelevant for some time. The Jags have been irrelevant pretty much since they started.
Yeah.
And it's going to take an awful lot to turn him around. But I agree. Robert Saleh looks like an absolute dude, by the way.
Yeah.
And you trust him to try and at least get things defensively pretty ship shape.
Yeah, for sure.
Urban, on the other hand,
he'll be gone.
Difficult. Hey, I don't know if he'll be gone. He'll probably walk because he walks every time something goes wrong. So.
Walk straight into USC.
Yes.
So that is the league news. 15 minutes to talk about 2 transactions. So there you go, folks.
Look, you want quality content. This is what you get. All right. This is what you get when you have. Nathan was like, it's a solo podcast. My voice is going. Well, I'm making up for that.
Exactly. My voice can't carry it.
Anyway, we are going to have to get on.
It is, nothing on the trade block. My bench players are, available if anyone should want, and if a price came in for Zeke that was worthwhile, I would listen.
That's it.
But nothing formal on the trade
obviously
block.
Don't get robbed by him to chase Claypool for Michael Carter and then drop him. That would be dumb. Wouldn't it?
There's a reason I'm like a full-time GM of the year, Chris.
I think that I don't know if it's GM of the year. I think there's a lot of suckers of the year out there.
Yeah.
It's sure. Come on. I've been there and done it. That's it. We anyone who's been a long-time listener remember the Toby Gearhart affair. I remember that.
Good times.
I haven't burnt good times for Tom, but not for me.
No. But we're going to get into debate corner now. So we didn't do it last week. So John, where are you?
Order.
Thank you, John. John was feeling a little lonely last week. He didn't get a call up to the pod. He was just stuck in that cupboard over there.
I can't believe it. I think you should have had him on.
Yeah. He would have made an ideal co-host, but
that's it. He would have.
I should have thought of that.
That's it. He can't
be doing much nowadays.
He's not a Tory mouthpiece anymore.
Far from it. But for debate corner this week, we have slightly off-piste because I just noticed something interesting. I do like to look at the number of waiver moves. I often frequently top statistic, but there is usually a number of things. But I did see a few interesting low ones this time around. And so the topic of debate corner this week is, will the lack of transactions hurt certain coaches? So looking down, we have Ben Assesti has made 0 moves yet. Typically quite a busy team on the waiver wire. Still holding Adrian Peterson, might I add. Ixan has made none, which is not uncommon, but we have seen more action out of Ben in recent years. And given the draft day struggles, you would have thought maybe there would have been some action there. Tom's only made 2, which I believe at least one of those was the one he made in waivers yesterday. Viv's made 1 again. He's not usually a big mover. Ross, of course, has only made 1 as well. So, the topic of debate corner is maybe some coaches more than others, but will the lack of transactions hurt some of these teams?
I'm not sure the amount of transactions will. I think, there's a lot of people can rack up transactions by doing just stupid shit like picking up 3 defenses in a week and then like picking one, or same with kickers. It's exactly the same thing.
Or trading for someone, dropping them, and then re-adding.
That's pretty silly.
Yes.
So don't do that. Don't do that. So we're here to teach as well. Like, if you're going to trade, at least back your trade. All right, back your trade for more than 1 week. I don't care if you hold on to the player he holds on your bench for 3 weeks. At least you backed him. you think, shit, I made the wrong decision, and then you drop him. Fair enough. However, what is quite clear this year is that anyone who's got any real quality has already been picked up, and I think that anyone who's going to break out obviously has yet to do so, and therefore is still on the waiver wire.
Okay.
The season is long, and I think that as the season progresses, you see there's certain players that have become more in demand, perhaps, as the year goes on. But right now, people are quite happy with their teams. They're quite happy to switch between the players that they've drafted. And also, I think that, again, when you look at the teams, particularly the ones that are doing well, it is the ones that would normally make the moves.
Sure, okay.
So, your dad's team, for example, doing quite well.
Yep.
No moves made, doesn't need to because he's drafted well. And I think the most active team, funnily enough, to try and counter that point is Pat, whose team I arguably is
it's
good.
Mine, of course.
Or yours is good. Yes.
Pat's up there
as well. That's it.
And Ollie.
Ollie and Tom. Yes, Ollie's team, by the way, is going to be boom or bust just already. Absolutely boom or bust. But again, he will be active because of the nature of what he needs.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think that some people are just more prone to doing it. But again, the number of transactions doesn't really count as much. It's the quality of the people that are picked up. And from my point of view, having seen what's available right now, there's no one I want to spend my money on, no one I want to pick up, particularly in the skill positions.
I agree this week, especially. Obviously, Elijah Mitchell was the big one last week, and there's been a couple of other guys who had money spent.
Yeah.
But largely, look, there's some guys I've got in the old Rolodex that if I had a bench spot, I'd add them straight away. There's a few out there, but like you say, we do have a shallow bench for a reason to make it a bit more tricky.
So
and everything.
you can't hold people like that, and if people want them, you can go right now. I mean, let's see right now.
Alexander Madison would be the big one for me, especially with Cook's injury. I was surprised no one claimed him.
I want to prove my point here that skill position wise, who is the top rated skill position? It probably is him. That's it. And if he's not a quarterback, obviously.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, with quarterback, that's really I'm the only me and maybe Ollie Gardner, but he's bizarrely holding 3 quarterbacks. Yeah, you're speaking
that is a bit weird. That's it. But yeah, unless you're streaming, then you'll pick every week. But Jacoby Myers is Deontay Harris is the top. Sorry, then Jacoby Myers, Cole Beasley, Henry Ruggs, Jamison Crowder.
Filling guys, like you say, nothing that would...
Exactly that. Tyler Boyd, James White, Mikael Hardman. People who just think, I'm not really going to start him. So what's the point of picking him up?
There you go. That's the debate corner asked and answered. So we'll see if that's still the case, obviously, when we get to further on in the year as well. But anyway, we'll take a look back now at week 2 then, and we'll start with the marquee matchup of last week, which was the Friendship Bowl. Ixon and Forge Flyers duked out in another chapter of the Friendship Bowl. It was a friendly game, but the scoreline was not friendly. In fact, it was downright unfriendly. 156-97 in favour of Forge Flyers. And 3 of your players, Chris, combined for over 100 points between them. Aaron Rodgers, 35. Derrick Henry, 42. That was a very disgusting performance today. That was an unfriendly performance in this game. And then Cooper Kupp, 28. But alongside that, Marquise Brown with 17. Chris Carson with 15 as well, en route to that big day for you. On the other side, not a bad day at the office for Ben, but clearly nowhere close to your score. Josh Allen had a better day with 21. Marvin Jones had 12. Nick Chubb 16, Brandon Cooks 14, T. Higgins 10, Damian Harris 12, so a good team effort, but obviously not enough. So Chris moves up to 1-1, Ben falls to 1-1, and the history of this matchup remains one-sided in favour of Forge Flyers, 13-4 all time.
Well, it's funny how history does repeat itself as we come back to what we were talking about earlier on. Yes, this was an absolute dicking. And it's funny enough, Ben and I were talking on Sunday night and we were going, this is really close. This could be a really tight, close game. And then woke up the next morning and it wasn't. It's quite nice to go into the Monday night game without needing points. It was quite nice to just go, how many am I going to score? Am I going to score 100 or 150? Is it going to happen? Is Aaron Rodgers going to come back? That happened, which was great. Playing Detroit, it was a bit of a turkey shoot, not going to lie. But
Detroit played well, not on defense in the first half. But yeah, when it rained, then Goff couldn't hold on to the ball anymore.
It's a bit of a problem that. It's good to see. Look, I'm not going to lie. This was an unexpectedly high score. No way did I see a 42-point score from Derrick Henry coming out of that.
Which was all in the second half as well.
Absolutely, which is mental. I literally went to sleep in the first half because it was so boring. And then I woke up second half and was like, looked at my phone and was like, shit. It's great. We can talk about that. But what I want to talk about is, from both sides, is the ability to score and score well each game. The floor of these two teams is fantastic, and I think that when it comes to Ben's, is that you look at every single player, regardless in there, they have scored a touchdown. My side, again, same sort of thing, but the runners particularly the most impressive thing is that between Carson, Mixon, and Henry, I think we're always going to get that momentum. Rodgers only scored 20 points. Cooper Kupp's not going to score 27 points every week, granted, but he has gone off like an absolute train to begin with. Yep. And Marquise Brown has been slotted in there, who the first 2 weeks of the season, he's showed all the promise that they expected of him a couple of seasons ago. So hopefully that continues on. But to score 156 points near enough in week 2, is very heartening, and it's not quite where I expected to be at this point. But unfortunate for Ben. But when he plays me, it's just what happens, isn't it?
Exactly. You can't go. Ben, solid side. Obviously, got the win in week 1. And like you say, good uptick for you after the week 1 was slightly disappointing.
And a big bench display as well for me. I'm going to put it out there as well. It's 29 points on the bench, which is all right.
Zach Pascal, Robert Tonyan. There you go.
I'm quite happy for that. So all right there. So week 1 has now been erased from the brain.
Exactly. Week 1 is basically pre-season for us.
It does seem that way.
What does it matter? On to our next game then. Tom's Tyrants faced UR Gold in the Winchester Bowl in week 2. And again, this was a case of 1-0 team and UR Gold facing a 0-1 team in Tom's Tyrants. But again, the results flipped. Tom's Tyrants did take it 111-86. Looking down the lineup, Kyler Murray had a great day again at 39 points for Tom's Tyrants. Najee Harris did okay as well, 14. Keenan Allen got 11. Deebo Samuel 10. Tyson Williams with 9. But the Bucs D really bringing it home with 20 points there against Atlanta. On the other side of the ball, 86 points. Not the best day at the office for UR Gold. The Bears D actually showed up with 23 points, but outside of that, Dalvin Cook 15. Baker Mayfield did okay with just under 20 as well. And Thielen basically got 10. Lamb got 9. So some okay days, but clearly not enough to fend off Tom's Tyrants. The wins and losses all time of this matchup now are 5-3 in favour of Tom's Tyrants.
Yeah, and very, very, very few weeks will fend off anybody else like that. Let me just tell you, for UR Gold, look, the Baker Jarvis Landry stack didn't work because obviously Jarvis got injured.
Yeah, injured as well.
But there's underlying problems here for this team. I think this is what you get from an auto-drafted team anyway, is that you will get a little bit spotty results.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook's gone down, and I think that's the real issue here, is that without his points and without Joe Burrow absolutely shitting the bed second half, then this would have been a really ugly score.
Yeah.
Because the skill positions, although there are some decent numbers in there, I don't think will prop up, so the numbers every week. He's obviously got a problem at quarterback, which is an ongoing thing.
Yeah, and I mentioned holding 3 quarterbacks: Justin Fields, Jameis Winston, and Baker Mayfield.
And they're also irrelevant. That's the problem, is that Baker's the best of the 3. But I think you've got to look at someone who you can rely on week in. Like Derek Carr's still on the waiver wire. This guy is an absolute stud at the moment. I know he's not a particularly sexy name. Neither is Kirk Cousins, but they're both there and they're both scoring really consistent points. And I think perhaps he would benefit from picking up one of those, because at least it gives you a solid foundation in which to build on. skill, as I say, skill positions are a problem. So look at that. If you can look at that every week, so Tom on the other hand is going to be really impressed. Kyler Murray exactly what he wanted. So he's come out after all the chat in the preseason about not running quite so much. It doesn't matter when he passes for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. And again, these guys like Najee Harris, who it was a really nice touchdown for him. On the receiving touchdown. Yep. That's it. Keenan Allen, who every single year comes out. People don't seem to gravitate towards him in the first couple of rounds, but solid player. Yeah. Debo looks like he's going to be good all year. Really good week 1, but just we needed a bit more of an improvement. Maybe a few more touchdowns in there takes that to the next level of team. So the Bucs aren't going to score 20 every week.
But Kicker's also going to get
score anything. So I get the averages out. Yep. But it's 110 points, real nice and solid. If he can get around the 90 to 100 point mark every week, he should do with that team. They're really difficult to beat in that division.
Yeah, I think it's some of the early round picks not necessarily firing as much so far for these two. Dalvin Cook, like you say, okay game, but you'd hope for more from the 3rd overall pick. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the big one sticking out there, and obviously the final flex spot, which is an issue as well, but he does have options to turn
Funnily
to.
enough, TJ Hawkinson, we laughed at that in the draft, but actually through 2
somehow
weeks,
it's absolutely good,
brilliant. And he's got Mike Williams as well, he seems to be just
so if he gets the selection right, the team can instantly improve. And to be honest, the same thing's kind of similar. Antonio Gibson's not had the best of starts, neither is Najee Harris really. Keenan Allen's a bit of a quiet start, but Herbert's been playing well. It's just been weird things where he hasn't had the touchdowns. So these two are bubbling under the radar a bit at the moment, but I think that will come good. On to our next game then, Gridiron Gang against Napolitans. Gridiron Gang and Napolitans faced off in week 2, both of them looking for their first win of the season. Gridiron Gang would get that win. And 111 to 94. Looking down the lineup, steady Teddy Two Gloves got 25 points for Gridiron Gang. Elliott had a better day with 16. DeAndre Hopkins 11. Tyler Lockett again 24 points, and the Broncos D 16 to bring home the win on that side for Napolitans. Lamar Jackson did well on Sunday Night Football, 34 points. But the only other over 9-point player was the kicker Daniel Carlson with 17, and the Patriots D with 20. Nobody else turning up there. So Gridiron Gang takes it, goes to 1-1. Meanwhile, Napolitans falls to 0-2, and this is obviously the first time they've faced off. And let's call this the Hutamaki Bowl.
The Hutamaki, I like that.
He used to work for Hutamaki. That's the link.
It's corporate enough. That's it. It sounds good. Look, Dave Henderson was really, really unimpressed with the 2 running backs that he's got in the first couple of rounds, because I think on paper, Saquon and Jonathan Taylor should be firing all says. Yes, one of them, they're playing 2 difficult defenses. I get it, but that's possibly what's. But not only just that, but that's not having a lot of not a lot more from them. Probably did cost him the win here.
Yeah, I think Taylor's had something like the most carries inside the 10 the first 2 games and hasn't had a touchdown to show for it. Barkley, look, it was going to be obvious he was going to have a very slow start.
Yeah.
You might think maybe from this week on a long week's rest, because they played on Thursday, he'll pick it up. So I even question, why would you play? It sounds crazy benching your 2nd round pick, but he was going to come along slowly and not get a full. And to be honest, other than that 40-yard run, that actually salvaged the day from being completely awful.
Yeah, and against them as well, because that's. Exactly that. The other thing is that you look at the Kittle and Shenault, particularly Shenault against Denver, which I don't really get. It's a weird start. You've gone all out to buy Christian Kirk in the week previous. Yeah. And then you don't play him.
And I get why you don't play Zach Moss. That's obvious.
No, I get that.
I'm not criticising not playing Zach Moss over Barkley.
Bear in mind the previous week he wasn't even playing. That's it. Yeah. So, but either way, that's not going to be able to get him the win here. Lamar is exactly what he drafted. I'd say, the Patriots and Daniel Carlson, who was, by the way, an absolute metronome on the day, to salvage that, to make it a serviceable score, but those skill positions are going to be really disappointing. For you must be quite happy at this point. That Tyler Lockett is the number 1 overall receiver in all of fantasy
football. I liked him, but I'd be lying if I said I was expecting that.
No, I don't think anyone expected that. The Broncos D looks like quite an effective pick, although they have had a reasonably soft start.
Yeah.
But you've got players there that are going to continue scoring you points. I think you're going to want AJ Brown to do a little bit more.
He dropped quite a few passes on the day as well, but again, he's one of these guys like you say the LSC week ones are preseason.
Yeah,
pretty much at the moment is his preseason.
It's his as well.
He barely practice or played.
That's right. It seems that Robert Woods has been eclipsed in that offense as well, which is a sad but true thing. And then otherwise, you haven't got a lot else to rely on. But that's it. At this point, to score 110 points, it must be quite heartening. Bearing in mind you are streaming the quarterback week in, week out.
Yep.
And one of your receivers isn't firing on all cylinders. Once all three of them go, I think you're going to be. That's quite an effective, very formidable.
I hope so.
Receiving core unit. So I think there's a lot more to come from your team, provided everyone can stay fit.
Yeah,
provided that Elijah Mitchell does his thing that you expect him to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And provided you can pick the right quarterback every week.
Yeah, for sure. I still like Robert Woods. He's obviously had a much quieter start compared to Cup. That will even out a bit. I think Cup's had a great start.
Yep.
I think when teams start, I think we always see this with the Rams. They will do one thing that really works. Defense will change that. And like, okay, let's go do this.
Yeah.
They're both going to be good receivers long term. I agree that Cup's probably going to be the better of the two, but Robert Woods should still be a steady wide receiver.
He's been very steady in the last few years. Yeah. So just ask Ben. He's had him all year.
Exactly. I had him last year though.
He was steady then.
He was steady.
He was.
On to our next game then. The Dream Team took on Bare Necessities in week 2. Both of these teams had a win, so they were vying for basically the top spot in their divisions. And Bare Necessities took it 104 to 75. Looking down the lineup for Bare Necessities, Russ cooked again with 27 points. Stephon Diggs had a better day with 12. Travis Kelce had a rambling touchdown en route to 17 points. Mike Evans caught 2 TDs on the day as well. He got 20 points to get to the other side. Forgettable day for the Dream Team with, I believe it was the week's second lowest score, 75. Justin Herbert, again, we mentioned he's not quite, well, he is firing, but the touchdowns just haven't been there so far. He only got 17 points. Austin Eckler did a bit better with 14. Terry McLaurin got 17 playing with Tyler Heineke, and Jamar Chase got 11, but not a lot else there by the supporting cast. So the Dream Team takes this one, and the history of this matchup all time is now 10-8 in favour of Bare Necessities.
Still quite close. This wasn't a close game at all. I mean, I have to say that coming off, it was really quite positive week 1. This is quite the come down. This team's got plenty of potential in it. Again, Tyreek Hill's not going to score 3 points every week.
Yeah, they doubled him all day.
Exactly.
Just wanted to let him
but they had a game plan to stop him, and unfortunately, what stopped him gained for Kelce on the other side.
Yes.
That's always a bit disappointing to see. But I think, again, much like in what I just said about yours, is that when you've got Jamar Chase, who already looks like he's the number 1 receiver there, and looks like he's got a great rapport with Byron when he's not throwing picks. Terry McLaurin, who is by far away the number 1. I think that Taylor Heineke's not doing too bad at all. He may well be.
I nearly YOLO'd a play for him on Thursday night.
I was sad you didn't, because that would have been a right. That would have been.
Teddy did slightly better, so it was fun.
Yeah, that's it. But I mean,
but it would have been fun.
Just for some balls, it would have been good.
Oh, you wait till you see what I've got this week.
Oh my lord. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Plus you get Hill into that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. As you say, the supporting cast needs to improve, and particularly the quarterback needs to improve. Justin Herbert is a stud and he's a favourite of mine. As you say, luck hasn't quite gone his way, but it will. He showed it last year that he could do it. He will do it again. On the other side, a typically solid outcome for your dad. He will always be this hanging there or thereabouts.
Yep.
He always drafts a good team. He always keeps himself in games. Last year he was really disappointing because he wasn't disappointing. He was the highest scoring team, but it was disappointing for him.
Yeah.
That he just getting dicked over time and time again by teams that probably didn't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
That just got a lucky one here and there. And beat him out, 110 to 112.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen quite so much this year because his team is really solid, and from top to bottom, and there's not really a weakness in it. So yeah, already I'm thinking that he's probably going to be there or thereabouts come the end, provided again everyone can stay fit, provided the main guys, the Wilsons, Kelsey, Evans, and Diggs can keep in it. He's got a decent kicker in D. I mean, yeah, you don't really get teams in this league more solid than that. And he's put a very solid score out that's week in, week out, very difficult to beat. That 100 to 105, if you're bubbling around that, you're doing well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the weird thing about my dad's team is you look at some of the names, they're like, okay, so Diggs hasn't turned up a lot so far, but you kind of look at Evans, he's going to be quite touchdown dependent, I think, this season. But obviously, when clearly he's going to have those kind of days playing in that offense. DeAndre Swift's another one where he's going to run quite hot and cold, I think. And Melvin Gordon, he should have his good days as well. Bizarre. Teddy threw the 2 touchdowns in that game, of course, and they didn't run one in. But he doesn't have a lot to turn to on the bench, really. So I do worry about the steam running out at some point.
It has been seen in the past that happens, but I think with a guy like DeAndre Swift, like even in what turned out to be a bit of a beatdown in the end. That's not a terrible stat line with no touchdowns against that team.
Yeah, definitely not. But he's called Jamal Williams. Well, bizarrely, his depth is Jamal Williams and Antonio Brown. So it's another weird roster build where you've got both those guys. You're never going to feel good about playing them both. And
certainly not. No.
You're going to end it's case in point week 1 where obviously Antonio Brown had the good day. Mike Evans didn't do much. I think Jamal Williams maybe had the better day week 1 than DeAndre Swift as well. So it's no questioning. It's definitely a good team, and you can't knock that bench for those players that I mentioned. But that's almost the weakness as well as their strength.
Yeah, tell me about Adrian Peterson as well. Let's do something useful.
Yeah, definitely. On to the next game then. It was Ross's team against Palestine.
Dear.
The current champ, undefeated since late last season, entering this one, took on Palestine, who anointed the Fantasy Pros king as the favourite team according to Fantasy Pros. But somehow it's happened again. The autodraft team, Coach Nunn, takes it 119 to 116, and it came on the Monday night comeback. So looking down for Ross, so Pat Mahomes, he had 30 points on Sunday night. Devontae Adams, he got the 12 points that got them over the line on Monday night. While Rob Gronkowski got 16. He's looking like normal Gronk again, apparently. Blankenship got 12, and the Bills D 26 points in a shutout of the Miami offense there. On the other side of the ball for Pakistan, obviously a good day as well. Unfortunate not to get the win. Brady had 40 points, essentially. Christian McCaffrey turned up with the 20. DJ Moore had 14. Justin Jefferson 13. Chris Godwin 12. But yeah, just wasn't quite enough on the day, but a good score nonetheless. History of this matchup all time. Ross's team are now 5-2 all time against Palestine.
Oh, Pat must be cursing the Miami Dolphins offense. Oh my word.
Yeah.
They had the chance in the game, but when Tua went down, the writing was on the wall, sadly. These sort of games absolutely gall you because from Pat's side, you really can't have done a great deal more. The majority of the players there, nice and solid. Almost everyone scored a touchdown. Buck has 5 PATs and no field goals is a bit gutting. Washington have sacked Daniel Jones 4 times yet blown 29 points. There's a lot of what ifs on that on Pat's side of the board, but I think largely he's going to be really pleased that again he puts up a really decent score.
Oh yeah, it's
and as we know, scores matter this year because there's a place available for the highest scoring team, and currently Pat is second in that. Ross on the other side, again, just flake. I don't know how he does it. Just with limited effort, puts Gronk in there who does
it's like week 1. You'd obviously do the recap. Just YOLO Sterling Shepard and the line off that pays off. Then Gronkowski renaissance.
Well, he's done it again. Yes, Sterling Shepard's there again for a handy 8.5 points. I'm not going to say it's anything more than that. It's handy. Allen Robinson scored a streaky touchdown, and everybody else you kind of expect to be there or thereabouts, but the Bills D has really pulled this one through for him. How many times have we seen a season a shutout? We very rarely see that.
Very rarely in today's NFL.
That is the difference maker here. So, yeah, the question is, can he keep it going? And
well, this is the thing. You looked at the bench. He's got Darrell Henderson. He benched Darrell Henderson, which is a bit of a perplexing,
which is a weird one.
I suppose.
And Singletary after the week that he had previous as well. That's even more strange.
And you've got guys that might eventually come good, like Kyle Pitts. Obviously, those two tight ends aren't looking too good. But and then Michael Thomas could come back. So it's happening again.
It could happen again. He's going to be there or thereabouts again through absolutely no, I'm going to say fault of his own. It's entirely the fault of his own.
Yeah, he literally sat in the room and did not make the picks.
Indeed. He said, I'm going to water draft. The auto draft's going to make the picks. He ended up with however many tight ends and it's somehow working.
Yeah, indeed.
The guy is Teflon.
And our final game of week 2 then, the Detonators against Bucking the Trend. So the B-Bowl, the Detonators and Bucking the Trend faced off in the final matchup of, and these two were both searching for their first win as well, being part of the Portsmouth division, which I don't know if you noticed, they didn't have a win at all in week 1, so they were all.
I did notice that. They all sucked.
Yeah, but Ollie gets the win here, 94-63, so he's off the board. Mike's still searching for his first win as well. Looking down the lineups, this really was a bit of a snooze fest, a gritty low score, as you can see on the chart there if you're looking on video. That was until the Monday night game, of course, where Aaron Jones proceeded to score 4 touchdowns and get 36 points and basically win this game all on his own. But Calvin Ridley and Deontay Johnson did help as well, I suppose, with the 12 points and the 11 points there. On the other side of the ball for Bucking the Trend, Tannehill didn't have a great day again, 15 points. Julio Jones had a better day at 13. Greg Zerline got 10, but then nothing else over the 10-point mark there, so not good to see. But there's a lot of season left to go, so yeah, Bucking the Trend 0-2. But Detonators 1-1 in the history of this matchup all time. But Detonators are now 2-1 against Mike.
Yep, I'm looking at a graph here that shows Mike went up and up and up and up, and then flatlined like his season has been so far. That's really disappointing for Mike, and he won't be really happy with that. Week 1 he had the chance to better win that game with bench Amari Cooper. In this game he had no chance. His skill positions unfortunately did let him down a little bit. Particularly that receiving core. Julio did great on the day, and he was the number 1 receiver by some distance. But DK Metcalf and say Cooper just couldn't make their week 1 progress pay. Camaro for a first round pick. It looks like he's in a very, very spotty offense there. Carolina's been playing great, but New Orleans were a very different team from the week previous, who absolutely dominated Green Bay, to be quite honest. There's a lot of rebuilding to do. I think that Mike last year was very good in the waivers. He will need to dip into that again if he's going to salvage or something. He needs a foothold in the season already, and unfortunately I don't really see where that's going to come from. Ollie, on the other hand, I would say much the same thing about his team, unless Aaron Jones scored 35 points on the day. That was extremely fortunate. Otherwise, that could have been a bit of a mess as well for him. It's only a matter of time before I think that Matt Stafford finds his way into the first team for him. Oh
wow. Okay. I
really do. I think Matt Stafford is going to be. I know he's trade bait at the moment, but say if somebody wants a quarterback on the cheap, then it's time to go and get him from down there, because the time is coming. The time is coming where that offense is going to be rocking and rolling, and I think that it's time for either him to start or somebody to go and get him. I don't really like the team other than that. Ridley and Johnson, particularly Ridley, was in a difficult matchup, but Atlanta don't look great. And again, it smacks of an Ollie type team where it starts very slowly. He makes mid-season changes and then it starts again, but it's not coming from the bench.
Yeah, sure.
It can only come from elsewhere in trades, and I think possibly the only way to kickstart that is by either trading away one of the callbacks that he's got.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. The bench options for either team are fairly uninspiring at the moment. Obviously, Stafford highlighting the benches there. And the starters, it's been a weird start for a lot of the first 2-3 round players. A lot of them have not necessarily performed up to expectation yet. Kamara, I think he's surely got to do better. He's the focus point. He's still getting the touches. It's just early days of a new starter. So I think he'll become better. Will he pay off that high pick? that's to be determined, but he should have better days. Sanders as well. I mean, I kind of mentioned on the draft recap that was one of my least favourite picks, just because I thought, he's in a bit of a committee as well. Yes. He had a good week 1 against bad opposition, but you're going to get these weeks, and then the receivers there, Julio's going to come good, I think. Obviously, you showed it here. DK's got some sort of leg issue, calf injury as well, which isn't being reported on much, but I think it's clearly hampering him, so I think he should get better once he's cleared that. And then Cooper, look, he's going to have his wide receiver 1 days, but he's going to get dinged up, and he's going to have those kind of days as well. And then, much the same for Ollie's team. Look, Jones is going to go hot and cold when they face a good run D.
Yep.
He'll probably struggle to do as well, certainly if they fall behind like we saw in week 1. Prescott, I think, has got to do better than that, whether he makes the switch to Stafford or not. It was very bizarre how they went from such a pass-heavy approach and working against Tampa to really run-heavy.
It really was, wasn't it? Yeah, exactly.
And then, to a low-scoring affair, which was not
I get that they want to try and protect Dak in the first couple of weeks, and they want to try and not overexert what he needs to do. But in the meantime, he's got someone who's absolutely firing on all cylinders. This guy, finally, Matt Stafford's found himself a team where he can be a gunslinger a gunslinger in a team that wants to give him the ammo. It's great. It's great to see.
But you're right about the supporting cast. Like Chase Edmonds, he's in a bit of a committee himself. It's a high-powered offense, so he should have some okay days. But Ridley again. After seeing that week 1, that put Ridley in a very different light, I think, for everyone. That he is the main target in that offense. They're going to look to take him out. Yep. And then, what else is there? Deontay Johnson, again, the main target, but that Steelers offense is looking a bit inconsistent as well. And Darnell Mooney, until Justin Fields comes in and lights it up as well. So, perhaps some slightly troubling times at the moment, but as you say, both good on the waivers and will hopefully come good eventually. So, on to the milestone standings and stats then. So, if we look at the milestones first, we have a few. So, I don't think I covered it last week, but Ben did notch his 90th career win in week 1 before notching his 70th regular season loss in the week just gone. And Chris, you have also reached the 90 career win.
Oh, Ben and I reached the same number. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's it. That's that. Yeah.
Well, I think you were both on 89 to start the season.
Well,
obviously, 1 week 1 you lost, and then you beat him. So you'll have a look at it.
Superb. I mean, it's nice to see that.
Yeah. Then looking at the standings, then Southampton division. When the page loads, there we go. So Ross's team heads it up at the moment with the highest points in the league at the moment as well, so technically the number 1 seed overall at 2-0. Ben Necessity's hot on the heels though, 2-0 there, and then Pakistan and the Dream Team both 1-1. Portsmouth division had to have some wins unless there was 2 bizarre ties after they all started 0-1. Gridiron Gang still leading that up, but at least has a win to back it up now. And Benete's right behind him on 1-1 with Neapolitans and bucking the trend at 0-2. And then in the Winchester division, it's all split. Everyone is 1-1, but you are leading on points at the moment, Chris.
Take that.
Looking at the breakdown, Pakistan has had the best start of the year, followed by Ross. You can see 20-2, 18-4, so both looking like the team to beat, both Southampton division teams as well. Ben Necessity is not far behind there, and then it drops off a bit. It gets a bit more middling there, and you turn to the bottom.
You and I are on the same number.
There you go.
That's good. There you go.
And then you get to the bottom, and bucking the trend, 2-20 so far. Hasn't been a good start. Same for Neapolitans, 4-18, and Ollie 6-16. Looking at the coach ranking, we top that category as well, Chris.
We don't just talk a good game.
No, apparently we know how to pick teams this season. And Pat as well, the 3 teams under 10 points there. And then you look at the opposite side of that, the Dream Team there at the bottom with 53, bucking the trend as well. So we talk about some of these wounds are self-inflicted, as you already mentioned with Murray Cooper in week 1. That 27 of those points are sitting right there. Ben Necessities as well, 37. And even Ross's team, despite scoring the most, still 36 points left on the bench. You are gold 35 as well, and so you get the true ranking. Doesn't mean too much at this point, so we won't spend much time on that. Keep an eye out for the power rankings when they come out. When they come out, as much of a mystery as it is to me as it is to you. So. They came on Sunday last week, but that's fine.
That's
because
right.
We like reading them whenever they come. But we will go on to the week 3 matchups now. So we need to pick a marquee matchup. Chris, the games on the slate, we have Gridiron Gang against Ben Necessities, the Stubbs Bowl, or the Father-Son Bowl, whatever you want to call it. Dream Team against Bedetonators, Forge Flyers against Ross's team, Tom's Tyrants against Pakistan, Ixan against Neapolitans, and bucking the trend against You Are Gold.
I know what I'm picking, Nath. It is the Stubbs Bowl.
Okay.
It's a bowl game.
Here we go. It is the Stubbs Bowl for the marquee matchup. Let's do it. Coach Stubbs Senior and Coach Stubbs Junior take each other on in another rendition of the Father-Son Bowl, the Stubbs Bowl, whatever you want to call it. It's here. Both these teams have had a good start of the season. Ben Necessity's 2-0, Gridiron Gang 1-1. Gridiron Gang leading their division, I've already forgotten, but is the Ben Necessity's leading their division? No, they're a joint second, but may as well be. Projections currently have this one going to the senior of the two, though, which is where the history usually is as well. 96 to 90 points. Looking down the lineups for Ben Necessities, any changes since last week? I believe they are unchanged at the moment, so still rolling out the 21 personnel there. 2 running backs and 1 tight end. On the other side of the ball for Gridiron Gang, they are fielding 10 personnel, 1 running back, 4 receivers. They're going spread, and Elliot has gone to the bench at the moment for Robert Woods. History of this matchup all time, Ben Necessities are 14-6 against Gridiron Gang.
14-6.
14-6. There.
Jesus Christ.
There it is. It's
wow.
a very historic game.
Wow.
Many appearances.
Well, that's it. Many appearances indeed. Look, 14-6. That's it. That is a seriously big number. You got a mountain to climb.
Definitely.
Yeah, I see what you mean about bold moves, but look, Daniel Jones has been great in the first two.
Yeah, I didn't mention him. Teddy's gone. Daniel Jones is back.
He's back in. That's it. Absolutely. Daniel's been good fantasy-wise in the last couple of weeks. That's it. I can see exactly why you'd do that, especially against Atlanta, who've been absolutely terrible defensively for the first couple of weeks. Look, there's some things I like about your team. Obviously that. Hopkins versus the Jags, which is great.
Yep.
And the Broncos versus the Jets, which is, if anything like last week, could be a bit of a tyre fire for Zach Wilson.
At Mile High as well.
Yes, indeed. So, not ideal. It's a very bold move again, Zeke coming out.
No, I may reverse this.
It's
a toss-up. Obviously, Mitchell's questionable as well.
I think it'd be difficult at the moment to drop.
But it's a good run D. It's just to talk you through it. I mean, we know there is going to be an element of a split between Pollard there. I still think Zeke's a good option. Week 1, we saw what happened with Elliott against a good run defense. They checked out. They went to other options. So, and Woods is playing against Tampa. Secondary hasn't been good. And obviously Cup's had the lot of it so far. There's got to be a Woods game coming.
There has to be something coming. I certainly think that has all the elements of a shootout as well. That Tampa LA game.
And he plays at 9. A fair amount of my dad's team plays at 6. So depending how the early slate goes, I may go with the safe option, which would be Elliott, or I may go with Robert Woods.
Fair enough. Well, there you have it. That's it. I don't need to do a lot of analysis on that.
You got the deep dive.
That's it.
Yeah, inside the knowledge.
I got that. What's on the other side? You look at Dave's team, and so far we've talked about how consistent they can be. But let's just talk for a moment about what kind of defenses the skill positions are playing against this week. Diggs playing Washington, Swift playing Baltimore, Kelsey playing the Chargers, and Evans playing the LA Rams. Not really the ideal scenario.
Throw in the Rams playing Tampa Bay as well at the bottom there.
And that's it. All in, the matchups aren't particularly good. Wilson playing Minnesota is all right. Don't mind that.
Yeah. No,
Gordon against the Jets, that's got a touchdown written all over it, to be quite honest. So yeah, that's the only thing I can say really good about that lineup. Apart from the fact that quality does shine through even in bad matchups. But will it shine through enough to be able to beat out the guys that you've got, who, let's conceivably think that Daniel Jones could score 25 points or more against Atlanta, and Hopkins could score maybe 80 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's a good basis to work from. You're going to have to hope that AJ Brown gets his head out of his arse and starts catching stuff.
And I nearly benched him for
I can understand why.
But I was thinking, you know what? Divisional matchup, there's always something between the AFC South when they play each other. So it seems like the spot he
The
gets
last time that they played each other, Derrick Henry ran absolutely all over the coals. Mm-hmm. So if they can get a good foothold in the game, that's presumably this kind of approach that they'll take again. And AJ Brown had a good game too. Robert Woods, let's say, solid. If you bring Zeke or Mitchell, whatever one you want to bring in, that's good. And Lockett playing against Wilson on the other side sort of negates that as well, especially if he's been looking for him all year. So I quite like your team here. It's got some good components in it. It's certainly got less the ability to be suppressed less than your dad's team does.
Yep.
The total points sort of projections right now are reasonably close. There's only 5 points in it. And I think that's probably what's going to be in the game too. I think it's going to be quite a close game, but there are going to be guys on your team that you're going to have to hope to prop up the supporting cast, whilst on your dad's team you're going to have to hope that the guys that he's been relying on for the first couple of weeks do shine through.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the difficulty, I think, there for him. So I'm going to go with your team. I feel good about that.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm confident about this team. I'm vibing it this year. I've fully accepted the streaming approach, and I've explored some trade options. But I'm like, you know what? No, I'm liking this streaming.
Yeah,
it's like I've got an unlimited bench of quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I can just pick whatever one I want. And of course, I'm going to get it wrong some weeks. But your established starter, always has a bad weeks as well. So
and it's fun to watch other teams.
Exactly. I think you hit it. My team feels quite exciting compared to some normal gridiron gang teams, or certainly ones we've seen in seasons past. I think I am going to go with my dad's team in this one. He's obviously had the better start to the season, winning 2 games off the bat. You do correctly point out, some quite bad matchups there. To counter that, I would argue Diggs, Kelsey, to a degree I would view as matchup proof. Evans, I think you're right about, because does he get the Ramsey treatment? Yep. If he doesn't, he might just not get the looks on the day, but that arsenal that the Buccaneers have to throw to. So I certainly think it's going to be a competitive one. I'm going to go with the history just to split it, because I am happy about the matchups. I think if you go on Fantasy Pros or whatever it is, that I think bottom 10th percentile or something ridiculous, or a load of my matchups there. So like you say, it's quality versus a bit less quality but good matchup, so it'll be an interesting battle for the marquee matchup all the same. On to our next game then. We have the Dream Team against Bedednators. Dream Team take on Bedednators. Is this a Corona Bowl rematch? No, it's not. I couldn't remember, but it's still an interesting match. So, and it's projected to be a close one as well. Both of them 1-1, and Dream Team projected to win it 93-90. So to get to that 93, Dream Team is obviously going to be having to hope for some better days out of some players. Their roster remains unchanged at the moment. I wonder though, will James Robinson ride the pine at some point? On the other side of the ball for the Bedednators, just looking as well, they are unchanged at the minute as well, I believe. So I didn't mention injuries in the last game. I'll go back and do that. Except Deontay Johnson obviously nursing that knee injury that he picked up at the end of the game. I would say he's very questionable at this point of the week. History of this matchup all time, where Bedednators on here, there they are 6-10 all time against the Dream Team. Oops. And just to double back and check if there was any injury news, Antonio Brown is on the COVID list at the moment for NSSDs, and Trey Sermon in the concussion protocol, but it doesn't really matter. And obviously Mitchell's got that shoulder stinger, but I think he'll probably suit up.
Yeah, Antonio Brown had one game and he's just like, I'm done. So I'm going to get COVID and be out.
I'm going to go fart in someone's face.
That's it, yeah. Indeed. Yes. Look, I think the Viv's team is in a real state of quandary at the moment. It needs to get out of it, and it needs to get out of it quickly. And the way, as we talked about, to get out of it is to rely on Herbert and Eckler, who are in what I would think is a plus matchup for them, because you would like to think there's going to be a reasonably high scoring, high throwing, high octane game. That's it. In the same game as Hill, McLaurin and Chase are down there in 2 difficult matchups away from home, which I'm not really too excited about. The Steelers played Cincinnati, as we saw last week. That was exciting for one team. So yes, no, I think that that's where it's going to be. Viv needs to rely on that KC Chargers game for a lot of his success. You're right with James Robinson. It just isn't firing. That offense isn't firing. No, yep. It will come good eventually, but
I think so. But
as we said, week 1 Arizona kept Derrick Henry to 60 yards. So
he turned to the bench. I don't even know who Viv would turn to. Davis profiles to get pretty bad treatment for that end of the secondary.
I would say so.
You're not playing Hines. Pollard's an option. I mean,
it's certainly an option.
It's a Javonte Williams as well, maybe just for the amount you profile that Denver might run.
Yep.
But yeah, I think there's a better option than Robinson on the bench there for sure.
That's it. And funnily enough, they're all playing Sunday at 6 o'clock, which is first time for a while. So there you go. At least to
be fair, most of Ollie's team is as well.
Yeah, you get put out your misery early, so that's good. Ollie's team, I think, is probably going to win this one, though. Prescott's got to have a bounce back game. They're playing in a grudge match at home against Philly. if you can't get up for that, then what can you get up for? Aaron Jones did well last week. He's playing in San Francisco. Away, you'd profile that would be another quite heavy running game for them. Say Edmonds in that high octane offense you said earlier on, playing the Jags should get plenty of opportunity. Ridley playing the Giants away, both of them have been terrible on defense. Just who's even worse? And Mooney down there, difficult to really know. So if it's Justin Fields, you'd like to think he's going to get a few more looks than with Andy Dalton. Deontay Johnson's the same with me last year. I had him; he was just on and off. You don't really know what you're going to get. And the Cardinals did play in Jacksonville profiles well. So Ollie's team for me. But Viv, you're gonna need some luck this week, my friend. That's it. You really are in that game. You have to hope that Herbert, Eckler, and Hill will combine for a very solid foundation.
Well, see, I think that the Dream Team might actually take this one, because I think this might be the week where Herbert finally goes off. It's that AFC West divisional matchup against the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I think Eckler obviously will be a part of that along the way. Yep. Hill, I know this Chargers D is good, but it's Tyreek Hill. He's not going to have another 3-point week again, so I think those three are going to go off. Can you get a bit out of Terry McLaurin? Probably. Certainly. Could you get a bit out of Jamar Chase? I think the Pittsburgh D is already quite banged up.
The secondary's not great.
And the secondary's not great, especially if T. Higgins is hobbling a bit as well. He may already be that number one receiver, and then you've got the other guy there, Robinson's the annoying, and McLaurin. You might get a bit from McLaurin, but good start there as well. Whereas for Ollie's team, I think quarterback's got a hit. He's not got two great matchups really for either option this week, unfortunately. I think Prescott's the better call. Like you say, he should do a lot better than he did last week, you would hope. Jones, though, playing a pretty tough Niners D. Edmonds, again, he's in that offense, but other than Hopkins, it kind of gets spread around a fair amount, even between the running backs with James Conner there. Ridley, if any team the Falcons play this year isn't doubling Ridley on every single play, because there is just nobody else in that Falcons offense.
It's amazing.
You're worried about Russell Gage? Meh. Kyle Pitts, he's a rookie, still learning the league. You can probably handle him. Who have you got in the backfield? I love Mike Davis. It's Mike Davis.
Yeah,
and then Cordarrelle Patterson, a 30-year-old gadget player. Right. So if you're not doubling Calvin Ridley every play, you deserve to be fired as a defensive coordinator, quite frankly.
You wait for that Giants D. That's it. I tell you, they've been leaking.
If they're not tripling him, they're doing something. If they're letting... I'll completely agree. They're not bad. They're not good. And then you go to the bottom there, Darnell Mooney and Deontay Johnson. What are you getting from those guys? What have you seen from Mooney so far? It gives you any confidence? I know it's Justin Fields coming in, but he's still a rookie. He looked okay in the preseason, but certainly not someone who's going to suddenly spark an offense, I don't think. And then Johnson might not even play. I don't think he'll play at all. And then Ollie's got probably Latavius Murray, I would chuck in among that lot. He's not done too badly. It's a soft run D. The Ravens just want to run the ball. So
he just spent $28 on Rondale Moore, my man.
Or him. Yeah, he could go in as well. So I think Ollie's got a lot of problems to solve at the moment. And like you say, I think he'll come good eventually. But I think for this week, even though the Dream Team had a pretty rough week themselves, that they'll probably get back on the horse quicker than Ben as well. So on to our next game then. It is Forge Flyers against Ross's team. Forge Flyers take on Ross's team, currently league leading and the current champion Ross. Faces off against a two-time former champ, and he's projected to get his first loss as a result. 102, what a projection, to 93. Looking down the lineups for Forge Flyers, taking a look at the side, I believe you are unchanged, Chris. You are still going with the 30 personnel. 3 running backs and 2 receivers there on the other side of the ball for Ross's team. We do have some changes. Darrell Henderson has come into the lineup for... Allen Robinson there, and then I think outside of that he is unchanged, so he is rolling out, the 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends. I believe one of the only teams in the LOC to do so in this early stage of the season. Looking at the injuries, Beckham is slated to return. He practiced in full today, and then for Ross's team, nothing else to note there. Darrell Henderson, he obviously picked up a rib injury. Unclear if he plays this weekend and what will be a tough matchup. Anyway, history of this matchup all time. Forge Flyers are 6-4 against Ross's team.
Yes, we are. Now, not a lot's going to change in this team, I'm going to tell you now, because there isn't a lot to change. It's been a reasonably winning formula in the first couple of weeks. Yes, I effectively played without a quarterback in week 1, but that did change in week 2.
It did.
The bench is reasonably solid, but I'm quite happy with where I'm at, because Rodgers looked like all his last year's self in week 2. He's going home, playing in San Francisco. He's got plenty to prove. I think that he wants to go and do it, and I think that yes, it's a difficult defense, but
the weakness of that Niners defense is the pass defense.
Yeah,
there's already talks that they're going to bring back possibly Richard Sherman. So, that, and like I already said about Aaron Jones, and that's a worry for Badene, like as I mentioned as well. So I think it's probably going to be a Rodgers day again.
Yeah, that's it, which I'm looking forward to, because I say I haven't had that so far. Just to unleash the cork. I say with the 3 runners, we got to look at them in isolation. Henry last time he played the Colts, absolutely ran over them. Again, I think it was another 40-point week. So I'm looking forward to that again. Fingers crossed. Mixing against Pittsburgh stands to be difficult, but he's been used well this year. I just want a handy total, and effectively just needs 1 score to make it worthwhile, which is possible, bearing in mind that he gets almost all the touches in that backfield.
Yep.
Chris Carson, underrated start. So 15 points last week. It's got eclipsed by the brilliance of other players above him. But playing Minnesota is going to get used again. He's going to get used at the goal line, used as normal. Again, liking that. Couple Marquise Brown. One's in a potential shootout, and one's playing Detroit. Like it. Down the bottom, suck up. If he's going to start scoring field goals, it's going to be against the Rams away, and the Saints are playing New England. Who really knows if Mac Jones is going to
he's not been. Well, I suppose the Miami is pretty good. They got torn apart by Josh Allen last week, but obviously Tua got injured as well in week 1. And last week as well was against the Jets. They didn't ask him to do too much.
No, exactly that. So we shall see. We shall see what happens there. But I'm feeling good about that. Ross's team, come on, it's got to come to an end at some point. That's it. It really does. Look, Mahomes playing the Chargers is saying what is expected to be a shootout at home. Yeah, Adams playing Rodgers on the other side. If anyone who's been listening a long time knows what I like about that. So if you're playing the other teams, the quarterback in the other team is the guy who's throwing to your guy, then you're going to feel good about that, because that sort of negates the points. Darrell Henderson questionable playing against Tampa. Waller, he's going to do anything. It's going to be there. Miami are a stout defense, but Derek Carr's been playing really well, and you expect to see a lot of offense in that game as well for Las Vegas. Sterling Shepard, I just don't know how he's doing it, but he's playing on Lancer. He's going to keep on doing it. Gronk scoring touchdowns for fun at the moment, but if there's one defense that's going to slow him down, it's that one. Bill's playing Washington. Who knows what the quarterback's going to do, what Taylor Heineke's going to do in that game. He's going to blow him to bits like he did the Giants last week, or indeed he's going to throw 5 picks. So look, this is a game where I am a little bit cautious about it, because Ross's team is undoubtedly the wild card. No one really knows what they're going to see from them each week. But I feel very confident with the team that I've got right now. I'm feeling confident with the floor that it provides, and I'm feeling confident with the upside that it's got. For him, Mahomes, Adams, and Waller are going to have a good day, and hope that Gronk continues scoring his touchdowns, and Sterling Shepard keeps scoring a streaky 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd showed me Ross's team, the starting lineup there before week 1, and you asked me, how's this team doing? I'm saying, they're 0-2. They are done already. It's a very weird alternate reality we are living in. Indeed. Where this is somehow the best team in the league. And I want to say that, oh, come on, you're going to absolutely roll him. But I don't know that I can.
I can't say that either,
it's crazy.
I can't say that.
Like, you've got Mahomes, that always gives you a chance. Adams hasn't actually done much so far, so it's he's almost due. Which I think is a worry for you in this game.
Well, if I didn't have Aaron Rodgers,
yeah, no, I know, but it's like you say, it kind of negates the points. You think that he's going to have a good game eventually. Henderson, a very questionable choice is bringing him back into the lineup, certainly with that injury, but ignore injury, that matchup is gross. And he's benched Allen Robinson, who granted it's not done great so far, but I think you got to get him back in. He's benched his 3rd and 6th pick the draft. Waller, like you said, sort of solid, and then Shepard and Gronk. Again, I don't know why they're relevant, but they are. And
they somehow. Gronk's he's looking like he's
Gronk's usage was down a lot last week compared to week 1. He was compared to Brait and Howard. He was on the field and ran a lot less routes. So
very efficient.
that was a very efficient week last week. And who were they playing against? Atlanta.
Say no more.
The Rams D is a bit different to Atlanta, so I think this is the week where Gronk gets some points, and that might be all that you need because, like you say, you do have a good lineup. It is a couple of bad matchups for the running backs. I think Henry, like you say, the divisional matchup is not so much of an issue, but they are still a good defense in Indy. But like you say, he only needs a touchdown, he'll be fine. Mixon's the one I'm worried about because he didn't do great against the Bears last week, and I would even say Pittsburgh's felt certainly from a run point of view better than the Bears. So. But then, like you say, you've got Rodgers, Cup. I do think Bowles will probably try and scheme him away a bit. He's still going to get his. It's not going to be 28 points like last week, but he should still do okay. And then, again, Marquise Brown, he's done very well. And it's a combination of Mark Andrews not really being the top option in the offense in the moment, and obviously them not having as much as a run game. This one just feels like aren't they just going to run all day because they don't need to do anything else to try? I don't know. He could get a touchdown. We'll see. Carson's fine.
Carson's good. He's such safe as houses, that guy. The thing is, if I want to turn to the bench to replace Mixon, then
Beckham could come in.
He could come in. It could be a day that Golladay gets some touches. But I'm looking at it down there. Zach Pascal's been a very sneaky, weird one this year. Touchdown dependent, red zone receiver, playing the Titans, who have absolutely been terrible on defense. So we'll see about
we'll see if Wentz is healthy as well. I think
he'd
need that for any Pascal fun.
Exactly.
Now I'm going to go with your team as well. I don't know why your projection is so high, not just in general, just compared to the other teams and everything. We very rarely see that much. So
102 points.
But I'm not going to question it. I'm going with your team. Next game of the week, then we have Tom's Tyrants against Pakistan. Tom's Tyrants take on Pakistan, 2 1-1 teams in the outside of divisional week, and it's projected to go Pakistan's way, 99 to 91. Pat's coming off a loss, Tom's coming off as a win, but that's going to reverse according to the projections. Looking at the lineups for Pat's team, I believe he is unchanged at the moment, so he is rolling out the 20 personnel, 2 running backs and 3 receivers. For Tom's Tyrants, I believe unchanged at the minute as well, so he is running out the 30 personnel, 3 running backs and 2 wide receivers. From an injury point of view, Antonio Gibson questionable, he will play. He's been off since Thursday. Obviously, Colin Sutton questionable. That's just maintenance. Obviously, coming back from that knee injury, he'll be fine. Tim Patrick questionable as well. I wasn't aware that he got dinged up, but I don't think that's anything serious, so he should suit up as well. History of this game all time: Pakistan are 3-4 against Tom's Tyrants.
Quite tight then. Look, I'm going to assume as well that for Tom's team, he's picked up the Panthers this week playing the Texans, that they're going to come in because let's be honest, you're not going to play against the Bucs against the LA Rams offense. So with that in mind, both of these teams are a bit of a waypoint in their season, is that they both need the win here to better propel themselves on. I think Pat's got a lot of just potential in that team, but this week, I don't know, I'm not feeling it this week. I'm not feeling it. Brady's playing, say, a difficult defense.
First time playing in Los Angeles.
That's it.
If you want a nugget.
Wow, that is a nugget of information. Of course, after all these years, why would he play in Los Angeles? Wow. Yes, that's it. Well, that's it. He's a primetime guy for a primetime game, but it could well be a shootout. But also, that's formidable. Montgomery's against a formidable defense. We saw what Seattle did to one of the Titans receivers last week. They shut one down and let the other one roll. That's it. Who's going to be it? Is it going to be Jefferson or is it going to be Thielen? Probably Jefferson because he's the more, I don't know, threatening player, perhaps.
Yeah, like you said, the one worry I have about that Minnesota game is that Seattle haven't been, they just got rolled by Derrick Henry. So I wonder, and we know the Vikings want to be that run-heavy team, but just the way they've started with that defense, it hasn't allowed them to. And because the Seahawks yourself, it's probably not going to continue, but we'll see.
We'll see. Yes, exactly. They've got the potential to do that. And Godwin's obviously massively dependent on what Brady does. Washington football team playing Buffalo as well. In Buffalo, Josh Allen's due to go off. It could well be this week. On the other side, Kyler Murray started extremely well, and against Jacksonville, he's going to project to do the same thing. Gibson's a bit spotty to start playing Buffalo, and Buffalo again difficult. Najee Harris playing Cincinnati, like it. Keenan Allen, we talked about that game earlier on in KC. It should go well. Debo's played well in the first couple of weeks. He's remained fit. He seems to be the number one guy there right now. Detroit got absolutely run over by Aaron Jones last week. No reason why that won't be the same again. Baltimore should do the same as we talked about earlier on. I think that's a good way to go. And then say if the Bucks come out, the Panthers come in. Then yes, we should see a Tom's Tyrants win here. I think that's it. Unfortunately for Pat, he's just going to come across the wrong team in the wrong week with the matchups that he's got. And with Tom's team, we've seen the first couple of weeks what he's done. They've started well. I don't think that they will come across a team like this for some time, because Pat's team is obviously really good, but just say the wrong time. I know that McCaffrey and Moore are playing Houston, and that could be a lot of offense there, but at the same time, it's also the Thursday night game, and weird stuff happens on Thursday nights. Yeah, I hate to say it, no, I think you're right. It's probably Tom's week on this occasion. There's a lot to like about Pat's team from a season-long point of view. But Brady and Godwin with two tough matchups there. Like you say, the Thursday night game, when things happen, McCaffrey should be fine, but maybe Moore doesn't get involved as much. Montgomery against a pretty stout Cleveland D, and then I think Jefferson should be fine. I think Pat's team should be on course for a good week. I don't like the Washington defense against Buffalo there. No. I think just generally Washington's defense haven't played great to start the year. I don't think they're one of those teams that you should be committing to. If the Giants can put whatever it was, 29 points, 30 points against them last week, then Buffalo should have no problem. And
you mentioned it on the other side for Tom's Tyrants. I think the one thing you don't like there is clearly Gibson against Buffalo. He's not had a strong start to the season so far, and that's a good defense. Does he have somewhere else to turn? I think you've Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton. I mean, he had 150 yards last week. I get, again, their profile to be leading, but the argument is, if you're going to blow someone out, you've got to score points to get there, right? So, and then the rest of it, I absolutely love. Good matchup for Harris, and especially with Ben Roethlisberger's pec injury, they're going to want to lean on him even more. Deebo Samuel has been the top receiver in that offense, and I don't know if you know, but the Green Bay defensive coordinator was the defensive coordinator of the 2008 Lions. When they went 0-16.
They got patted.
He has been a defensive coordinator 4 times. He has never finished above, I think, 30th or 31st.
I have no idea how these people get a job.
And he is the defensive coordinator of the Packers. So basically, whenever you have a guy playing the Packers, play them.
You'll play the Packers? Yes, absolutely.
Look, there's just, like you say, the Panthers are there to bring in as well. So I think unfortunately Tom's Tyrants win this week, but both teams set up nicely for the season as a whole. On to our next game then. It is Ixan against Napolitans. Ixan take on Napolitans. Both teams coming off a loss, but Napolitans still searching for their first win of the season. They are not projected to get it here, as Ixan is projected to win 97-86. Looking down the lineups for Ixan, I believe at the moment they are unchanged from last week. I think so. And then on the other side of the ball for Napolitans, Christian Kirk has come into the lineup there in favour of
Laviska
Shenault, of course it is. So Ixan is going with the 20 personnel, 2 running backs, 3 receivers this week, while Napolitans are going with the 22 personnel, 2 running backs and 2 tight ends and a receiver. Injury-wise, T. Higgins, he's banged up at the moment. I would put him at quite questionable to play this weekend. We'll see. Noah Fant questionable as well. I think he'll be fine. I've not heard much on that. Josh Jacobs, obviously, he did not suit up last week. Very injured already. Again, I would say very questionable for this week's game. And then Laviska Shenault as well. I'd put him at very questionable as well. No history to report. So, Chris, you can
yes. Look at Napolitans just for a moment. And they're obviously projected terribly this week, which is strange because you've got Jackson, Barkley, Kittle, Kirk, Fant, all in plus matchups.
Very plus matchups.
All of them.
And Kittle. I just mentioned about Green Bay's defense. So
that's it, indeed. That's it. So Jonathan Taylor has obviously seen the volume and should profile do well there against Tennessee. I think it's going to be a bit of a run-off anyway there. It could be great, especially Patriots D as well coming in. New Orleans were not great on offense last week. And you'd like to think that Bill would be scheming for this already. You think he'd be scheming for Jameis Winston to throw a few picks. And, I don't know why it's an 86-point projection. I really cannot quite fathom that. But because that is, to me, one of the best matchup lineups of the week so far. For Ben's team, he's get back on the horse and get back on the horse quickly. But, aside from Allen against Washington that we talked about before, Jones against Arizona, don't like it. Chubb against Chicago, don't like it. Cooks against Carolina, don't really like it. If Higgins is out, then he's got to bring one of his bench players in. You're going to assume that's going to be Mark Andrews against Detroit, which I would play, which I do really like. Because that kind of negates the other side as well, as we were talking about earlier on. Harris against New Orleans.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's a bit meh. The Browns against Chicago. Which it could be okay actually because they don't know where their quarterback is right now. But yeah, we don't. Aside from kicker and defense, Ben's skill positions, particularly those outside of quarterback, do not match up this week.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's you're going to have to get, and I appreciate those that are going to say, well, Saquon's got to do something, Christian Kirk's got to do something. If they're going to do something, they're going to do it in those kind of games, right?
Definitely.
So, for me, Napoleon's one more on the board.
Yeah.
Ben's going to have to hope that Allen and Chubb turn up and has a very similar performance last week where everybody scored a touchdown. That isn't a given, this week.
Yeah, definitely.
By no means.
No, I think, Ixam bestows Napolitan's his first win of his LOC career here as well. I think there's been some reasons for the quiet Napolitan start. Look, perhaps not the best team, but they've definitely had a rougher side of it. I mentioned in the recap about Taylor and not getting that touchdown yet. Barkley coming off 10 days rest against that Atlanta defense. Fine. Kittle's got to get going at some point too. None of the early picks have really hit. Obviously, Jackson had a bad week one, but by his standards, but obviously had a good week last week. So now I think this is the week that Napolitan's piles on some points, and like you say, on the other side, I don't know, but Ben's team it's a bit middling, certainly this week for sure with those matchups. Like you say, Josh Allen's not been firing. He's still only got 20 points, I believe, last week in that game.
Yep, that's right.
Against Miami. So he's having a bit of sort of regression from last season, which isn't surprising. And then, you've got guys like Marvin Jones, Brandon Cooks, who have come into this lineup, who Ben would not have really wanting to be relying on, certainly at this point of the season. Both are bad matchups, and Christ, Brandon Cooks, this quarterback is David Mills or whatever his name is.
Oh, yes, who knows?
It doesn't matter if he's going to throw 20 targets his way when only 5 of them actually get there. So, and Higgins is injured. So, it's a bit of a spotty week this week for Ben. So, Napolitan's for me as well. So, our final game of the week then, it is bucking the trend against You Are Gold. Bucking the Trend take on You Are Gold. Again, both these teams coming off a loss, but Bucking the Trend looking for their first win of the season still, and according to the projections, they will get it marginally, 94.5 to 93.5. Looking down the lineups there for Bucking the Trend, what do we have in terms of lineup changes? I don't think they are changed at all from last week, so they're still rolling out the 20 personnel, 2 running backs, 3 receivers. On the other side for You Are Gold, they have brought Mike Williams into the lineup as well as TJ Hawkinson in favour of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jarvis Landry, who of course has now gone to IR. Looking at injuries, Amari Cooper's obviously got a rib issue, but I think he should play. He's on the late game though, so Michael will have to be checking the statuses there. Mayfield's questionable. He obviously dinged his arm up tackling the guy after his pick, but should play. Dalvin Cook's got that ankle problem, but I think he'll end up playing. Obviously Landry on IR. History of this matchup all time, Bucking the Trend are 1-1. Well, it's a split series, so it's there to take.
Sure is, and both of them need it. Both of them need to get propelled on. You Are Gold, not great last week. We saw earlier on, needs a bit of a boost. Look, he should get a bit more of a boost. Without Mayfield and Cook, Mike Williams has been playing quite well. Fiddler's been scoring touchdowns. CeeDee's got to start soon, and Hawkinson's been an absolute machine when it comes to targets. And actually, he's played quite well, bearing in mind. But And Baltimore's defense actually hasn't played that brilliantly in the first couple of weeks, so we needn't be too scared about that. The Bears are playing Cleveland. I never like to see the quarterback on one team playing the defense on the same one.
And your goal, as we mentioned, is flush with quarterbacks. So is this the week they roll out Justin Fields in his first start?
I wouldn't do it against Cleveland. Regardless of how you view him, I still wouldn't do it. I wouldn't bring in Jameis either. As I say, I still stick by my guns earlier on the pod. You've got Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins both out there.
Teddy's out there now.
Teddy's out there as well. I wouldn't pick him over those other two guys, particularly Derek Carr.
3 guys.
Get him in. Why? What? Who's the third? Of course. Yeah. All right. The 2 guys that you mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah. All those 3 guys that are on his bench. More to the point. So bring him in. Do it now. And I can say the same thing for Mike as well. Do it now. Bring him in. Get rid of one of your bench players not doing anything. Bring in.
Yeah, why are you holding Mark Ingram, Mike? Come on, what's he going to do?
Just don't do anything. That's it, exactly that. That's it. There is absolutely no way.
Tony Jones, handcuff Alvin Kamara.
You don't need to handcuff Alvin Kamara at this point. Yes, exactly that. So nobody's going for it. If Alvin Kamara goes down, that offense is
cooked.
Yeah, not great anyway. So get yourself a quarterback, both of you, a quarterback that you can trust. Outside of that, it's a much of a muchness on both sides. I'm not going to lie. Kamara against New England I hate, but Sanders against Dallas I don't hate quite as much. Julio had a nice week last week. Hopefully they can propel him onto something different. Metcalf the same. He had a terrible week, or first couple of weeks really for what you'd expect. It's the kind of game that you'd want him to get back into it. Sorry, Amari, same thing. It all depends on what Dak does, but again, that game, you can't get up for that one. You're not going to be able to get up for it at all. 49ers did against Green Bay. Probably time to find another one as well. So yeah, I think at the moment might need to make some changes on that, the quarterback and defense. I think with you are gold, that's it. Much the same really, is that you'll just go and pick a different QB and get rid of one on the bench. Otherwise, I actually quite like it. They've got some real touchdown dependent players there, but if they do hit the days they have done for the first couple of weeks, I think you are gold has probably got it.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right as well. Just from look, Mike's team's got talent, but yeah, it's just not really come through in the first few weeks of the season. Much like Napolitan's, it's got to come through at some point. But like you said, there's some dodgy matchups for some of those guys there, so I'm not entirely convinced this week's the one. And you are gold. Yeah, there's certainly a lot to like. Dalvin Cook, as long as he's healthy, he should roll over that Seattle defense. Thielen should put up some points as well. Mike Williams has had a great start. CD's obviously had a good week 1. I don't think he did too much last week, but really no Dallas receiver did. And he's healthier than Cooper as well at the moment. And Hawkinson's a target hog, so I know it's a bad D, but we saw the Lions get completely blasted out the door by the Niners in week 1, and they still garbage timed their way. So it's they're one of these weird teams that they're almost kind of good enough to be in a game, but if they're so bad, they're going to get garbage time.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It's very bizarre. Like you say, the quarterback situation certainly needs to be addressed for your gold. For Mike, Tannehill, I think they've had a bit of a dodgy start, but I think last week they certainly got things together. That second half, they look completely different. They were back to the Titans of the last 2 years we were seeing right there. So could they go with another option? Could Mike go with another option to be safer? Absolutely, but I think Tannehill's got to come good at some point. But yeah, you asked me to pick this for two very teams with, don't get me wrong, there is a ceiling there, but there's also a very low floor. I think I'll go with you are gold, but wouldn't surprise me to see Mike get his first win of the season.
My caveat with your goal is they've got to change the quarterback. If they don't change the quarterback, then Mike's team's going to win.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you on that one. So that is the end of the show. So I hope you enjoyed it, and especially having the co-host back, better than listening to me ramble on for an hour.
That's it. Well, that's it. At least with me, you get an hour and a half. So
exactly. You
get extra time.
Extra time and extra quality.
That's it. Oh well, it's nice to be back.
Hey, it's your Hall of Fame induction for a reason. I am not going anywhere this Sunday, as far as I know. So if you would like to come over and watch the games from 6 p.m, you're welcome to do so. So with that, we will say goodbye. Have a good rest of your week. Have a great weekend with you when you get there. Good luck in your fantasy game, unless you're playing me, of course. Goodbye.